So I'm here with Barbara Tavares. We had you on the show yesterday, and you're from the Shalom Community, and you're Brazilian. And you hinted at your own personal story. You're in your mid-20s, and you're discerning consecrated life. And so I just wanted to ask you maybe about your own journey, how you came to grow in your faith, be more devout.
Thank you for welcoming me here, Father, and for all those who are listening right now. Sorry for my broken English. I hope you can understand me well. It's been 2 months I'm living in the US right now, but I mean, I've been raised Catholic, 26 nowadays. I was raised up Catholic, but I mean, there was a time in my life I was going to church just because my mom wanted me to go to the church, and my family somehow was like saying that I should go. But it was not something that I loved to go, that I expected to go.
But you would go every Sunday.
I would go every Sunday, and I wasn't. I think I was, until my confirmation, I was going confidently, and although I was not like very, as I said, very enthusiastic about going to church, I was going to church. And I was thinking, after my confirmation, I think I'll stop going to church, or I will go whenever I can. I thought it was good for me to go to church, but just maybe because I thought I was maybe closer to God, but this was not an idea that I had fixed in my mind and in my heart. So, okay, Sunday sometimes it's difficult. I want to go out. I want to do something different. And I need to go to church. I need to wake up early, or I need to go in the afternoon, and I wanted to do something out. And I didn't want to go to church because of that. It was preventing me to do something in my mind at that time. Then
let me ask you, were you like a good student growing up?
Yeah, I was a good student. I was not the smartest of the classroom. But I was a good student.
Because you have a gift for languages, right? You speak 5 or 6 languages.
Yeah, Father. But I studied a lot for that. It was not. Sometimes people think I came out with this gift simply like that. But
you worked at it.
Actually, I studied a lot for it. Began with English when I was 12, and then started studying other languages. And it's interesting, Father, you asked that because also related to faith. When I've had an experience with God, I had my experience with God through Shalom Catholic Community when I was 16. When I had my experience with God, I felt God loves me, God cares for me, He forgives me. Also, the languages I learned, the little studies I had, became a source of a means to help people to get to know God. I mean, in my small offering, through English, through speaking Italian, French, Spanish, my native language, Portuguese, I could bring God to other cultures. And I felt like every language I learn, I feel the Lord is sending me to these people.
That's beautiful.
So yeah, I could have my experience with God when I was 16. And by an invitation of my mom, actually it was a difficult moment. My mom was about to get divorced of my father. And my grandmother said, Barbara, you should accompany your mom more in her life journey because she feels alone. It's difficult for her. And I said, okay, what should I do? And my mom just went to church and worked. So I already went to church with her, but I didn't go to the prayer groups of Shalom Community at that time. And then I was going just to accompany her. And then it turned out that I felt the presence of God through a youth group that I participated. And I felt like the experience of a family, community. And I also wanted to know more about God from that time on.
And your parents did get a divorce?
Unfortunately, yes. But I at least I could have this experience of through something bad, God can do something good.
Right.
Through sin, through our weaknesses, and I experience this every day in my life. God can do something good to me, to the others, and
Yeah. And so you accompanied your mom, and what did you find at these were Shalom Community Prayer Group, and what was it that struck you, touched you, called you, spoke to you?
Yeah, first of all, when I arrived, we called the coordinators of the prayer group, like the shepherds. The shepherds came to me and they invited me to the group. In Shalom, we have a snack bar to evangelize people who do not feel very attracted to church. We have the snack bar where people can feel comfortable, even if they are not from the church. They can find a place. I was thinking about going just to the snack bar and staying there while my mom's group was finished.
Now they serve sandwiches and cookies
serve
or something. Yeah.
Exactly, with the names of the Bible, like Mount Zion, Magnificat, the names of the sandwiches, and we can ask what that means, and they explain.
Right.
And I was like waiting there in one of these snack bars of Shalom in Fortaleza, my hometown, and these girls came to me and they invited me to the group. But I didn't feel it was just an invitation for me to be part of something, one more person. I felt like from their eyes, I could see like a joy. They were very enthusiastic and their smile was so radiant. And I was like, okay, I think they're talking about something good.
Right.
I'll give it a try. I don't know if I will commit myself, but I'll give it a try as I'm already here. And then I went to the group. The moment of prayer, it was a charismatic prayer with songs. People were raising their arms. It was kind of weird for me, but I could not deny that I felt something different that moment. I felt something in my heart, a peace within my heart. Like I felt even some goosebumps and what's going on? And in my mind, I had many questions about God, about the church, doubts and criticism that I had. But I could not deny that I felt something in that moment in my heart, the love of God for me. And then we had we had a talk about a specific theme and moments of sharing. And I saw many young adults. There were like 40 young adults in this group. It was a beginners group. And they were very different from one another. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. They're very different ages, different backgrounds, some studies, some work, but all of them are living an experience of God. And I was like, this attracted me. And I think I'm coming on vacation, I thought. And I was committed to go on vacation. And then until the end of vacation, I will come. And then I'm here now as a missionary. I was caught.
In the net, right?
Yeah.
And did you go to college? I don't remember what you said on that. Did you?
Yes, Father. I studied English at university.
Okay.
I studied for 2 years. But in the middle of my studies, I felt the call to be a missionary and to leave everything and to go on a mission.
Okay.
Which was such a thing for my family. Like my mom wanted me to be in the church, then I was too much in the church.
Right.
And it was another thing. But nowadays, I mean, she's happy that I'm happy.
Yeah.
But I went to college for 2 years. I used to teach English and to simple things, not very, I did not get to work that much. I couldn't because I wasn't graduated. But I was like an English teacher for a few years while I was studying, because I studied previously in a language course, so I could also teach for private classes.
Right. And then you helped out at Panama, right? In preparation for World Youth Day.
So Panama was my third mission in the community. I was sent on a mission after we called discipleship, what the church calls novitiate. I mean, in the different, it's almost the same thing, I guess. And after this time of formation, I was sent on a mission to Panama, and I spent like 1 year and 8 months, almost 2 years in Panama. The bishop, Monsignor Ulloa, invited a few missionaries of our community to work at the local organizing committee of World Youth Day.
That was your third mission?
Yes.
What was your first two?
My first was in Rio de Janeiro. in 2015, the year I entered the community, in my postulate year. And then I went on a mission, the mission house, that is the formation house, in the countryside of my state in Brazil, the countryside of Ceará, and then Panama.
Okay. And for Rio, when was the World Youth Day down there? What year was that?
It was in 2013.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You were there, right?
I was there, yeah. I can't remember.
I was there too. We didn't meet there. We met in Panama.
And what did you do on that first mission in Rio?
Okay. Yeah, my first mission was, we have a snack bar to evangelize. I was serving the snack bar and welcoming the people who came to have a snack. I was like serving the food, making some coffee, talking to the people. Then I was a shepherd of a prayer group to also lead other young adults to a way of formation, of experience of God. Spiritual accompaniment. Every young adult was accompanied, praying over them in a personal way and guiding their journey of faith. And the one I liked most, the ministry I liked most, was the evangelization at Christ the Redeemer. You know, the big statue of Christ? And every weekend, our community was responsible for the evangelization there.
Okay.
We used to go very early in the morning. It was very hard. The volunteer job. A volunteer activity that we made together with the church, the sanctuary of Christ the Redeemer. And it was very interesting because thousands of pilgrims go there daily. And we were sometimes 4, 5, 6 missionaries evangelizing, playing songs, welcoming the pilgrims. And there were Muslims, there were Hindus, there were Jews, there were Catholics, there were non-Catholics. And it was a beautiful experience to pray the rosary together with them, to sing together with the Jews sometimes for peace. And some Muslims asked us to pray for them. It was beautiful too. So it was really, Christ was with his open arms to everyone, and we felt pushed to bring the people to his arms.
Yeah. So just so people know that, it's the big Christ Redeemer statue in Rio. I always say, like, Rio, it's got these beautiful, like, kind of almost like half egg-shaped mountains of granite or stone or something. And to me, it always looks like what I always imagined, like the jungle when I was growing up. It's got that real, and I remember we took you're right, it's up real steep hills, and we rode up there, then you caught some other bus, but, because I really much wanted to see the Amazon when I was there for World Youth Day. That was about as close as I got to the jungle, but I thought it was just beautiful. And they have a chapel on top? I didn't see.
They do, yeah.
Oh, they do. Okay.
That's why it's called, everybody who goes to Christ the Redeemer is a pilgrim, because there is a chapel up on the hill.
Okay.
Actually, it's the base of Christ the Redeemer. You see the Christ, and there is a base of stone, and you can enter. It's the chapel of Our Lady of Aparecida. The patroness of Brazil is Our Lady of Aparecida.
Yeah.
That she appeared when the fishermen were fishing, and they saw this image in the sea. So she is
didn't they, like, in their nets, didn't they pull up like half the statue, and they cast the net again and pulled up the other half?
I don't remember exactly how it worked, but I know that they were in a moment of troubles and in the sea. Right. And all of a sudden, the image comes, the little statue that maybe was coming with the Portuguese or the Spanish people who were coming at that time. Right. And it just fell in the sea, and they saw this image. She was full of dust. Dust, I don't know how to call it.
Or mud or something.
Mud, yeah. And that's why she's also black. People say the black lady. Because she was full of mud, and then they could see that Our Lady was guiding them, even though it was a difficult moment in the sea at that moment. They were fishing. And
would you would go to that shrine? You've been there many times, or?
I haven't been there.
Oh, you haven't been there?
Yeah, because, Brazil is so big.
Yeah.
And actually, when I was in Rio, I could have gone, because it was 3 hours by car, maybe, around that. But from my city, I'm up in the northeast, in Fortaleza, so it's...
long trip.
Yeah. But hopefully, one day.
Yeah. And we should say, we just looked it up. I think Brazil's 210 million people, largest Catholic country in the world, and the biggest country in South America. And so it's a big place.
It is. It is indeed.
Have you ever been to the Amazon or
No, I haven't.
a canoe ride or anything?
Yeah, it's not something so common that people do often. I don't know why. Maybe we don't give value sometimes to the things we have in our own countries,
Right.
which is a pity.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we don't have money to go to.
Yeah.
But I mean, people usually, like, when they want to go, they go to Rio, they go to São Paulo when they want to go for a trip. And yeah, but we need to, when we go there, we need to organize the whole trip too. It's you'll need a guide. You need to know the boats and
Yeah,
stuff, because
it's a big deal.
it's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us maybe about the church in general, like your experience of like the Brazilian expression of Catholicism, maybe some of the emphasis and the teachings or the celebration. I mean, we always, in America, we see like big parties and stuff in Brazil, and very joyful people. When I was down there, I thought it was very welcoming people, and loved to, have fun, and just a warm place. Maybe can you tell us some about the Catholicism there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank God the church is alive in Brazil, very alive. Of course, with the challenges we face, our people suffer a lot with poverty, with street violence, robbery, right? But also in Brazil, we have many people full of gifts, full of talents, and people willing to do good. And amidst the challenges and the good things of the country, I believe the church, in its many spheres, in its many vocations, somehow tries to respond to the needs of the society. It's so challenging, but I'm glad that we see many communities, movements, and congregations try to bring something up as well. So we see like new movements, older movements, but all together as this beautiful garden that is the church, trying to bring people closer to God and complementing each other. So we can see a church full of young people. I mean, when I say this, it doesn't mean that everything is perfect. We see many young people in the drugs, people not well, with depression, with anxiety. But I mean, they can, if they want to find something, they will have something in the church. New movements like Canção Nova. Canção Nova is a community that it's very engaged in the media as well. Then Shalom Catholic Community, then other congregations in the church there. Yeah, somehow, I mean, I would say the church is trying to respond among the challenges to bring Christ as alive. Christ is alive, and God can be experienced in the Catholic Church in Brazil.
And maybe tell us about the formation of how Shalom Community got started. That's a beautiful story in the 80s with Moises.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It was a time where the church in Brazil was suffering a little bit with some very radical thoughts on communism ideas and
liberation theology.
Liberation theology. And Shalom was born in that time, together with the priests that were Moises, as a founder of Shalom, was always very one with the church, I would say. But he was a young adult, was not very Catholic at a certain point of his life, and he was going to church just because his parents wanted him to go. Until there was a retreat, he participated in this retreat, someone prayed over him, and he could share with other priests, and then he had an experience with God. And he said, my problem before was like I could not pray. Now my problem is that I cannot stop praying. And Moises started to be a man of prayer, a young man of prayer, in his 16s, 17s, 18s. Then there was an occasion. Moises was very involved with the youth ministry of the Archdiocese of Fortaleza. And the bishop as Pope John Paul II was coming to Brazil to an Eucharistic Congress that happened in my city, in Fortaleza, the bishops asked Moisés to give a gift to the Pope. And Moisés asked the bishop, but what should I give to the Pope? I don't know what the Pope needs. And he said, Moisés, give whatever you want, whatever comes to your heart. And then Moisés went to pray and asked God what he should give to the Pope. And Moisés, as a young man who wanted to evangelize his friends, his cousins, the people from his family, he didn't know how. He invited them to a mass, and the young people didn't want to come. And he invited them to other things of the church, and the young people were not interested. And he was with that, God, what to do to evangelize the young people? What should I do? And then while praying to give a gift to the Pope, he felt God called him to give his own life as a gift to the church. He didn't know what to do. He just wrote a letter and saying, like, I offer my life, I offer all my perfumes so that the humanity can feel the love of God. I offer especially to the church and to the young people who are far from the church. He wrote this letter, and in the offertory of Mass, he gave the letter to the Pope. Then he had nothing in his mind to start something. He just wanted to evangelize. With a group of young adults, they were talking once to a Canadian priest, and this priest mentioned about coffee shops to evangelize in Canada. And he said, that's a good idea. We should do that here in Fortaleza. Let's start a snack bar to evangelize. And then that's how the idea came up. And they started a snack bar to evangelize. Like 2 years after he gave his letter to the Pope with other young adults, then the bishop came to give a blessing in the snack bar. The idea was to have an evangelization center where in the entrance we have a snack bar, and passing through the snack bar we would have rooms for prayer groups, a chapel, a place to celebrate the Holy Eucharist. And Moisés used to say our evangelization should start at the table and finish at the chapel, in the chapel. So that's how Shalom was founded like 40 years ago. Around
And he himself is a layman today and is consecrated?
Yes, he's in Shalom we have people who are Life Community and Covenant Community. Life Community dedicate their lives totally to the community. We live community life of prayer, evangelization, together in community. And Moisés is Life Community. He's a celibate for the kingdom, which means that he's not married with a woman. He had a fiancé before, but he felt the call to be fully consecrated to God in this way, of poverty, obedience, and chastity. And nowadays, he's also a member of the dicastery in the Vatican for laity, family, and life. A very simple man, a very humble man, thank God, which brings a great paternity to us as the whole community. Especially for his love for young people, he's very active and present in campings with the young people and other events that we organize.
Right. And now you've been in New York 2 or 3 months, and what you see there, I'm wondering, like in America, New York, like the needs and maybe struggles of the young people, is it very different from Brazil, or is it you see similar themes?
Yeah, regarding my hometown, it's very different because my hometown is a small town. I mean, it's big, but it's not so diverse as New York. Maybe New York would be compared with São Paulo, that is in the southeast of Brazil. But in New York, I believe it's even bigger. I've never been to São Paulo, but New York, we see people from all over the world, diversities of languages, of even when you talk about sexuality, of everything, you'll see everything from everywhere. Sports, you can see people playing all the time. Which is very interesting for us to be a missionary there. And everything we want to do, there is in New York. Like, I want to play volleyball on a Monday. There are people playing. I want to do this and that, and I can find that. So, it's this great diversity. But as missionaries, I believe our presence is very recent. We arrived 11 months ago. We're going to our first anniversary in the day of St. John Paul II, 22nd of October. And we feel like everywhere we how can I say, we throw the nets, we can catch the fish to Christ. Even in places that sometimes we are not expecting too much. But I've been to some groups, meet-up groups, to try to evangelize and to try to make friends for Christ, that we make friends for Christ. We hope that people will see Jesus in our lives. And it's interesting. I went to a picnic, I went to a bike riding, and these guys came for a hike. Then one of them is joining the prayer group, and they were not from the church. So I think people are thirsty there too, I believe. Like when people come over, they want to know more. When first they are listened, when first we are welcome them as part of our family or in our family, I think they feel confident. They trust in us and they want to trust in God. They're open to spirituality. I think people there are very curious about transcendental experiences. They want something that surprises them. And I believe what surprises them are not our greatness because we do great things, but because we try to, we are called to live a radicality of the gospel in the sense of living with joy, what God calls us to live. And even though we are very weak servants of the Lord, I believe they see our desire for Christ, our love for Christ, and they feel attracted.
And you're in Brooklyn, and you're about 5 or 6 members. You have a priest with you, and you're connected to a parish, right? And so you can center around the parish. Maybe tell us too about prayer. Like, what do you all teach people about prayer? And maybe if you could share some of your own prayer, how you pray.
Yes. One of our bulwarks, the patron saints of Shalom Community, we have Saint Francis of Assisi and Saint Therese of Avila. And Saint Therese of Avila is the one who teaches us how to pray. Also Saint Francis, in his spousal love to Christ, he was a man full of love to Christ and full of love. You know that very well, Father. But yeah, we try to drink from this experience from Saint Francis, and also through Saint Therese of Avila, this contemplative prayer. We do many things. We are doing lots of things, but prayer is the primacy of our lives as missionaries, in our community life and everything we do. We spend the whole morning in prayer and in silence. We start with morning prayer. Then we have 2 hours for praying, 1 hour of Bible study, and 1 hour just for contemplative prayer.
So morning prayer, we should say, like the liturgy of the hours.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then our personal prayer.
And 2 hours of personal prayer or Bible study and personal prayer. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Then we stop at 6. We have community prayer. This is where we pray with songs. The whole community, we are just 6. We gather together to praise the Lord, to call the Holy Spirit. Sometimes it's even hard to stop the afternoon. Sometimes we are in the intensiveness of the works. And at 6 p.m. we stop and we go to prayer. And we spend like 50 minutes in prayer. We have a moment of sharing. Also, we have daily mass. We are in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, the church that the bishop entrusted to us is called San Damiano Mission in Williamsburg. And we have mass, daily mass with the people who come. And then we finish our day with the compliance, with the night prayer, to finish the day. And once a month we have a vigil that we spend 4 hours before the Blessed Sacrament. I'm telling this not just to say like, oh, we pray a lot, but it's mainly we know that it's the source of our apostolic life and of our community life. Sometimes community life is so intense. Challenges come up, the apostolic life, challenges come up, but then we see, okay, this is not in my hands, it's in the hands of God. And at least I see when I do not pray well, I see that I cannot give the people what I don't have. The bishop in Panama likes to say, we cannot give to people what we don't have. So we are very involved with people, and if we don't have this life of prayer, we feel so much agitated with things, worried, and even centralized in our self-centeredness. And we can give just ourselves, and the idea is to give God to the people. So yeah, we try to have this solid life of prayer in our daily lives.
You know, New York has a reputation for being a tough place, you know, and do you have trouble with that? Like people maybe taking advantage of your goodwill, or they come to the snack shop just to grab food and leave, or do you have to deal with tough New Yorkers sometimes, or?
Yeah, I believe they do that. We try not to be very focused on that. But you know, like there are also some poor people who come.
Yeah.
And there is a guy, he's our friend. I mean, he comes to church every day. And we open the church at 9 a.m. Sometimes he enters the church, he's sleeping on the bench. We know that he's there just to sleep, but he's very discreet in his own. And at the same time that we have freedom to give him something, we have freedom to correct him on some things. Sometimes not so easy because they have addictions and it takes longer. But I mean, there are some people who can take advantage, but I think it's just the minority. I mean, and also we believe these people are needing God as well. So,
right. How do you? I mean, a lot of young people are struggling with addictions. Is that something you have to deal with frequently? Drugs, alcohol addiction?
Yes, in the church where we have even an AA group. Every Wednesday they gather there. And there are many. The church is packed.
They have it in the church itself?
In the church itself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And they come to the events we organize. This group is not led by us as community. They have a different leader. But we also try to put ourselves available for something they need. They know they can talk to us and they can count on us on something they need. And we try to also invite them to, like once a month, we make a cultural party. Like Italian, there is an Italian
festival,
a small festival coming the next Saturday, and we try to invite these people because we know that they wouldn't feel attracted to come for the prayer group, maybe, or maybe we can invite them too, but maybe the little festival will be like more attractive.
Right.
And they're very talented guys. So we see, like, we can smell the drugs everywhere all the time. Also, people who come, sometimes they come sharing about their difficulties to overcome their addictions just to smoke cigarettes, normal cigarettes too. And also, I mean, but I think we've been dealing more with maybe different addictions that are not just related to alcohol or drugs, but also young people who are trying to, not addiction maybe, but sometimes anxiety, depression, things related to human, these human weaknesses that many people are suffering nowadays. And also loneliness. People, when we were on a meeting once, we invited a young adult who lives in New York to share a little bit about the young adult's life in New York. And this guy said something very interesting for us, that he said people here in New York, they are always surrounded by many people. They have a good social life. They're always on the pubs, in the restaurants, with their friends, having fun. But it's interesting because they live an experience of loneliness in their lives. If you ask them, you will see, also in their own, their houses, in their apartments where they live this deep experience of loneliness. So while talking to them, they say it's true. We do live that. We are always surrounded by people. We have people all over, but we feel alone. So we expect that the church is our small mission there is a way to bring people to a family, to a spiritual family, where they can count on us and on one another who are joining the group.
Mm. And let me ask you, for Panama World Youth Day, you spent 2 years in preparation. Tell us about that experience. That's a very generous endeavor. I mean, I'm with EWTN, we fly in, fly out. It's like, but you were...
It was quite an adventure too. The Lord always put us in in good adventures. Thank God, that's good. And to make things that we don't know how to do. So I'm glad that the church does not count just on my capacities, human capacities, but on my desire to correspond to the will of God in each moment of my life. So when we arrived there, we were supposed to work in the registration team. So all pilgrims, different languages, each one of us from my community would be in charge of answering the emails, talking to the pilgrims, talking to the leaders of the groups. Then I was with the English language. Then it changed because they had a need on the translations team. And I'm not graduated. I'm not, I'm not very a great translator, but it was to coordinate it, just to think about what to do. And then I think at least goodwill I have. I don't have many capacities, but I have the goodwill. So I entrusted this to the Lord. And I was coordinating the translations since when I arrived, like 2 months after I arrived. And then in the World Youth Day, we had like 5 main languages for text on the web page and the interpretation to interpret the Pope and in the press conferences as well. So we had a good team of 40 people from all over the world with priests, nuns, lay people, diversity of people from different communities, movements. So it was a beautiful experience. And also as missionaries, we lived with some international volunteers. That was something new for us as community because we usually live with our community. But also in dialogue with the church said, I think it's better if some of the volunteers live with you. Also for you to live together. Because the idea of World Youth Day is not just to work for the church, but also live an experience of spirituality, of encounter with God. So we lived this there was a volunteer from Ecuador, another one from Poland, and a French volunteer in our house.
Was she the tall young woman? I remember interviewing.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. There were 2 from Poland, Bartosz and Justina, and you talked to Justina.
Okay, what is she doing now?
It's funny, after World Youth Day, she got a job in the in the Panamanian embassy in Poland.
Oh, wow.
World Youth Day connections gave this fruit to her. So,
okay.
Yeah.
She's back in Poland now.
She's back in Poland. Yeah. It's beautiful. Some of the volunteers, they started discerning. There was one of the guys from France. He entered the seminary, right, in France, from the Diocese of France. Then others started a vocational discernment in different communities. So thank God it was a good experience. Yeah. We had many challenges, as always, but it's beautiful to see the fruitfulness of it too.
And your own spiritual life, with those challenges, being asked to do things you're not familiar with or have experienced, you're very young. Spiritually, how do you approach that? It's like, because you feel like you don't have the natural capacity or experience to do this. I remember when I interviewed you, you said something, I don't remember the phrase, but it was something about, you just kind of trust in God and do your best, kind of thing. But because it seemed like, you're in New York City, you're starting digital platforms of evangelization, and it seemed like a lot of new challenges that you have to try to figure out. How do you approach that?
Father, many times come to my mind the testimony of the saints that I see they didn't have many capacities. It's interesting, the testimony of Saint Philip Neri. I love evangelization. I love to approach people. One of the things that give me a deeper experience with God, prayer gives me a great experience with God. But talking to people and seeing the needs of the people fill my heart with, I want to do something for God. I want to bring God to this person. But sometimes I deal with that. I am not capable. I'm not so intelligent. If I to talk to someone, maybe it won't meet the standards. But I think people feel when we are open to them. So the testimony of Saint Philip Neri enlightens me a lot, in the sense when he talks about, he evangelizes through friendship. He becomes friends with the people, he plays with the people, he is with the people, and then he brings people to God naturally, as a testimony of God. And there is a sentence that I was reading recently from the Patriarch of Jerusalem, Monsignor Pizzaballa, that he says, faith is a matter of attraction. And it's not a matter of compulsion, obligation. It's a matter of attraction. And then I kept this with me too. I think I relate myself to that. I want to make faith attractive to the people. And to make it attractive, I need to be someone who is nice with people. Then another testimony of Saint Therese of Lisieux, the child Jesus from France, who was a young adult, a teenager when she entered the Carmelite order. She talks about the way of smallness, the small way. And she says, I want to make great things for God, but I see my smallness. And I think it's contradictory, it's paradoxal to talk about that. Sometimes we think to do things for someone, we need to do great things. And this is true. We try to do good things with quality. But inside, I need to bring this humility, like I do not have anything. I'm so small. And even if I were the most intelligent person in the world, I wouldn't meet the standards of something like the level of God. God is the most powerful one. So every time I think things get wrong in my mission when I want to be great, when I want to be the best. And then I feel we coordinate a praise and worship night. When I started coordinating the prayer, I put myself I try to empty myself completely. Because if I'm full of myself and full of my desires and my things, I feel the prayer doesn't flow. So I think this experience constantly of emptying myself, then how can I empty myself? Maybe I'm full of worriness in my mind, full of things coming in my mind, but someone comes to the house. And I was like, oh my God, I need to solve this problem. I need to do this. But that moment, no. This person is the most important person right now. And I will stop everything to give attention to her. Let's sit, let's have a coffee, let's talk. And I will listen to her. I will pray for her. Let's go to the chapel. I wanted to pray for your intentions. And then I empty myself of my things, and I constantly feel like, okay, this is what mission is. It's not myself. I'm not in the center. It's not money. I'm not here for this. It's God's will. And God gave me so much, and I feel so blessed for all everything He gave me. And that I cannot give nothing less than everything. I believe God is not asking a lot, but God is asking everything. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Like, it's sometimes our everything is small. It's very small. As the offering of the widow, she didn't have much things to give, as the others were giving offerings in the temple. They had many things to give. Her offering was just a coin, something very small, but it was everything. So I believe every time is like that. I am not the center. My difficulties, my problems, my sins are not an impediment for me to live the mission. And with simplicity, God is simple, God is love, and love is simple. So we believe that's how we try to attract people to God in our small offering, the small way.
Have you, I don't know if you read much or meditate about like spiritual maternity, like a woman, like a consecrated, I think oftentimes like sisters have a spiritual maternity sharing, maybe in the Blessed Mother's being our spiritual mother in the order of grace. And do you look at some of your ministry that way, like kind of being a mother to these people that come and try to
Yes.
foster life, nurture life in them?
Yeah, I need to look at that in that way. Also because I'm a celibate for the kingdom. I'm not going to get married. I mean, I'm still in the process of renewing my vows. I haven't done my final vows yet because it's a process. But part of my call, I think there is a part of my call that is the sponsality with Christ, of being totally His. But it comes through also part of it's my availability to people and taking care of them. And I feel deeply committed to the life of young adults, also in the spiritual accompaniment, in the just simply coming to the group and be more welcoming with them and leading them to Christ and leading them to a deeper commitment with Christ, also in their ways of discernment, their vocation. I accompany some of the vocational discernments in the mission. We have 4 people in vocational discernment. So I believe my celibacy and this spiritual maternity are very connected. In the sense of being more available to people. That's how I felt the calling to celibacy. I felt celibacy as I feel very attracted to missionary life, to evangelization. I feel celibacy gives me more availability to the mission, more time. I can spend more time with people.
Right. That's
and
beautiful.
take care of them in their way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. It's been appreciate you coming down, being on the show, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Father. All the blessings for you all.